Up next for the James Gunn DC Universe, we have Supergirl up to the plate. Oh, swing and a miss.
Supergirl, the sequel to Superman. Very good film, which I had a lot of fun watching. Did it live up to the hype? Let's find out. And to let you know, there will be spoilers in here. So this is your official spoiler warning. So buckle on up. Supergirl. The plot. Pretty simple. But for some reason, again, our plot line revolves around an animal being hurt and or killed. What is going on this year, Hollywood? Can we stop with the animals just being used for plot lines in these films? I'm kind of getting over it. I'm tired of getting sad from seeing an animal get hurt. You all seen in the trailers, Crypto gets hit with poison from the big bad in this movie. Kara must go and get the antidote, and she ends up teaming with an unlikely what becomes friend at the end of this movie to go ahead and get this antidote. What did I think of Supergirl? Disappointing would be a word I would use. Was expecting more, but I will say, compared to what I've seen from critic scores, this movie is not a bad movie. I just want to get that out first and foremost. Not a bad movie. Just did not live up to the anticipation that a lot of people had after watching Superman. But again, not a bad movie. Still had parts where I enjoyed it a lot. So let's get to our hidden treasure moment of the movie. For starters, Millie and Jason's acting as Kara, Supergirl, and Lobo, really, really good. Jason Momoa especially, he steals every scene he's in, which isn't much, but does a fantastic job as Lobo. Pretty much just exactly looks like Lobo. Don't even know if he knew he was being filmed. He was just being Jason Momoa. He did really good. Millie did a fantastic job, especially in scenes in this movie where there is emotional weight. One of my complaints from Superman that James Gunn did was the emotional moments where we're supposed to feel something, he cuts it off with this James Gunn style and adds humor and just breaks up and ruins an emotional scene. We don't get that in this movie. Millie does a great job showing her character arc of the stuff that she's been dealing with, from Krypton being destroyed, her losing her family, having to go off and live on another world and start a new life, to her potentially losing Crypto. You feel the emotional weight. She does a great job conveying her emotions, and her acting throughout the film is done very well. There are some scenes where you can see practical effects in this movie as well. Some of the aliens, especially on a scene where we are on a bus ride to go and start our adventure with Kara and Rooney, practical effects, the aliens looked really cool. And this is where my review guys tend to take a negative plummet. We are going to get into my shipwreck section of this video. And to be honest, there's a lot of flaws with this movie, unfortunately. So I'm going to start listing them off. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of these takes. And let me know what your thoughts of the movie were. For starters, the character of Rooney, annoying. She is so worthless in this movie. Now, I will go ahead and say, I have not read the comics. I've never gotten into the Superman, Supergirl comics, and I know the comic they're adapting this from. I believe this is how she acts for the most part throughout the comic, from what I've heard and seen from other reviewers. So there is a scene where Rooney, I guess when they go to the one planet that has like the green sun or whatever, does kind of have some fight sequences that are really cool, fending off dinosaurs. Nothing like that in this movie. She is so worthless in this movie. She's out for revenge because the big bad, Krem, kills her family, her mother, her father, her brother. And by the way, her brother just dies in the dumbest way possible. She does nothing throughout the film. Kara is constantly having to go and save her. We get one scene in one of the big fights when we get on this planet where they meet up with Lobo and they have this fight scene where she tries to do something and Kara stops. Throughout this whole movie, Kara is stopping her and telling her, like, hey, revenge is not the way. It leads you down a dark path. You don't want to get how I get, where your happiness is gone and the vengeance just consumes you. Worthless. Couldn't stand her character. She has one cool scene where she gets captured near the end of the film, and then other than that, it's almost so unbelievable because you haven't shown any of this throughout the film. You talked about how in your clan you just went through like your third trial of something. I don't know what that's for, but apparently she's supposed to be a warrior. You don't get a hint of that at all in this movie. One big shipwreck for this movie for me is the shot choices and the lighting and the visuals in this movie were very off. It felt like I was watching more of a Batman film than a Supergirl film. Now, I'm not saying it needs to be bright and colorful like Superman was, because we are not at that point with Supergirl in this film. So I'm guessing they took the lighting and the darker colors and stuff to kind of signify what she's going through, but it felt completely off to me. There are so many scenes you cannot see Kara's face. There's a few fight scenes you don't even see some of the action. It's happening off. You're staring at somebody's face, a close up while she's doing stuff. It's like, what are we doing? It was stupid. And it's like that throughout the entire film. And it's just like you lose some of the emotional connection you get with Kara in these scenes because you can't see her facial expressions. You don't know what she's feeling. You can't see. And it's like, what is going on? What was his choice? I thought that was very silly. Didn't like it. It took me out of a lot of scenes. It's very weird. To go along with that, these action scenes, for the most part, are very underwhelming. There's one scene where we are in a bar and Kara's having a fight with a lot of, gangsters and whoever's in this bar trying to capture these girls because that's part of the storyline. It focuses on Kara telling Rooney, hey, stay here while I take care of these guys. And we're focused on Rooney while Kara's off just like throwing these guys around this bar, beating them up, destroying the bar. It's like, you don't see anything. So what's the whole purpose? Was the CGI bad? Were you trying to hide some of the CGI because this movie didn't have the budget that like the Superman film had? I don't know. Didn't like that. And there's multiple action scenes where Kara's going off and doing something cool and you're focused on somebody else and you can't see what happened. The bus scene that gets taken over by tech pirates. The teleporting thing was kind of cool in concept, but the fight itself is just like, the shots were wonky, didn't like it. When she's dismantling the pirate ship, you don't see what's happening. You're looking at the pirate's face while she's destroying the ship and taking the engine apart. You don't see any of it. You just see the aftermath. It's like, what are we doing? Another thing I didn't like in this film, Lobo's bike in this. I like Lobo, the character. I can't say I know too much from the comics, but his bike looked cheap in this movie. It looks like they just took tin off somebody's shed, threw it on front of the bike, made some like fenders for it. It looks horrible. It looks like something you would get at a thrift shop, honestly. I could not believe that some of the stuff that in this movie, and I don't know if that's because of budget constraints, but overall, his bike looked horrible, and I'm pretty sure that's like a big part of like the aesthetic of Lobo was him in that bike, and it looked horrible. There are some scenes, especially if like the sun hits it, it's like, ooh, that looks like a horrible prop. Now, probably the biggest complaint I have of this movie is Krem. Hands down, I think Krem is probably the worst villain we have had in a superhero movie at all. I do not give a single damn about Krem. He doesn't feel like a main villain. He almost acts like he could just be another one of the goons in the background. You don't really notice him. There's nothing. There's no backstory given to him. He is the most useless villain I have seen in a superhero movie. And that's saying a lot because Marvel, throughout the years when they were first doing their MCU, biggest critique on Marvel was the villains are flat. This guy, I don't even know what's worse than flat, because he's basically non-existent. That's how I feel. Just a horrible character. You don't have any care in the world. He's just a bad guy to be a bad guy, and it comes off really bad in the movie. With that, in this movie, like they do with most of anything that has to do with Superman, Supergirl, they get nerfed. The Kryptonians have to get nerfed because they are so powerful. That's the way they were created. Nobody can stand up to them, hardly. There's only a few that can. And Kara gets nerfed in some dumb ways in this film. Going to red planets with red suns because she likes to get drunk. She doesn't want to feel anything. She just wants to party and booze. She gets poisoned in like the dumbest way possible. Apparently, in the James Gunn universe, everybody knows Kryptonians' weakness besides the Kryptonians. Because Kara gets poisoned from these people that are supposed to help her. We're on the planet where Lobo and all these like Krem's people are. And she gets poisoned and she's like dulled for a little bit while she's trying to puke and drinking milk. And we got a little humorous joke about this milk from this dog. And it's just, the nerfs that they get are dumb. Some of the logic in this movie is very, very dumb. Going back on the logic, our planet where the final big climax takes place, Krem's logic is super stupid in this whole part. Let's go to a planet where there's a green sun. Cool, that could kill a Kryptonian because of the kryptonite and all that stuff. Awesome idea, that makes sense, but that's only for part of the day. All of a sudden, a yellow sun comes up, and instead of her dying off, she's like supercharged now. You have this teleportation device that Krem has that lets him go to different dimensions and different planets like that. And all of a sudden, we're going to pick this planet where, you know, for convenience, she gets a yellow sun and starts just whooping up on Krem and everybody. It was stupid. I thought it was completely dumb when we got to that scene. Like, really, this is where they decided to go. Another thing that really bothered me through this film, the more we got into the film, I've seen complaints already. This feels like a Guardians movie. And yes, it borrows heavily from Guardians because, you know, James Gunn's attached to this. That it didn't fit with this movie. Like the score, this is an awful score for a movie. It wasn't like Superman where he's bringing on this punk rock theme stuff and the music meshed well with the scenes he was doing and all that. It meshed with Superman's character. With Kara, it felt completely out of place. Like there's fights where music is starting to go on exactly how you would picture it in a Guardians movie. They were trying to capture that vibe it felt, and the music choices were awful. Especially in the climax battle, when Kara is finally like showing her powers, her super speed, her strength, lasering tanks and all that. It's really cool, and the music brings that scene down. I didn't like the music choices. I really didn't like the score at all for this. And what else this movie does too, this is the best way I can explain it. They borrowed heavily from a lot of franchises, Guardians being the main one, and there are a lot of concepts borrowed from Mad Max. The way the villains look, on the big planet where our climax is, there's always dust or something going around and they have like the Mad Max, almost like the tint to it, the way that the visuals and everything look, and the color palette. The movie's not good to look at, besides for a few scenes. The color choices in this are very and that is one thing that I also don't like. It doesn't feel like a Supergirl movie. It feels like a conglomeration of a bunch of other different franchises just kind of thrown together. Like they threw something at the wall, see what would stick, what would mesh well, and it doesn't have its own feel like the Superman movie had. So that's another complaint that I have. And this is where my biggest pet peeve upon thinking about this movie after seeing it last night. It didn't anger me as much, again, because I hadn't read the comic, but upon seeing the change they made from the comic, and then just thinking back about the whole arc we have with Kara's character in this movie, it's really like a waste of time. So at the end, Rooney's gonna go kill Krem. Kara pretty much has like paralyzed him at this point because she takes him out with like a vicious moveset that was really cool to see. Rooney's got her sword to the neck of Krem. She's gonna go ahead and kill him. And Kara, again, throughout the whole movie, is like, no, don't do this. You don't want to do this. So like showing her arc in this movie, going from, you know, looking like she doesn't care, doesn't have feelings, to like really caring about Rooney and wanting her to, you know, try to move past this and move on with her life. That's what her family would want and everything. She tells Rooney to go walk away. Cool. Kara, as soon as she walks away, I was like, okay. Grabs Rooney's sword, stabs Krem once in the chest, says that's for her dog. Okay, I can somewhat see that. Like, yeah, I'd be really pissed off too. This was the dude that, you know, almost killed my dog. Probably deserves it. Cool. But then she takes it a step further and says, this is for what you put that little girl through. And then stabs this dude in the neck, which, by the way, looks awful. There's like a smidgen of blood that comes with being stabbed in the neck. They don't show anything. It looks tacky, like it didn't even happen. Kara kills him. After just telling Rooney and going through this whole character arc of her redemption story, she goes and just murders this dude when she has the antidote and everything. You dumbasses! You literally just nuked her whole character development in this final choice. Apparently in the comics, she doesn't do that. Krem gets to go and they take him to the Phantom Zone, which is apparently more, you know, worse than death itself. Why couldn't we do that? Why did you make this change as a studio, as a writing thing? Even if you don't read the comics, which I will bet money that the comic fans are going to be really angry at this choice. As a casual viewer, taking us on this hour-and-a-half journey with Kara, her telling Rooney, don't do this, you don't want to be like me, and her finally getting her redemption at the end, and then she just wipes everything she said and tried to do away in one scene because she goes and kills him. It's stupid. It makes me angry, and this really takes down the score a lot for me, even though this film isn't getting that high of a score to begin with. So going into my rating, again, I was let down. I had very high hopes for this movie after Superman because I really liked Superman. Again, though, it's not a bad movie. It probably sounds like I'm just ripping it to shreds. I honestly think it's probably a little bit higher than what I've seen critics' scores on Rotten Tomatoes. I've seen the score like, I think 53 is what I saw it at last. I don't know what it is now. But it's not a bad movie. It's really not. There is some enjoyable moments. The acting is good for the most part between Kara and Lobo. Lobo, again, Jason Momoa steals every scene he's in. He's maybe in the film for, I want to say, maybe about 15 minutes. The emotional scenes in this one, I'm glad they didn't like butcher the emotional scenes we get in here with comedy that's just thrown in there like they did with Superman. That was nice to see. But overall, man, I'm disappointed in this movie. I do feel like a lot of people are going to be disappointed. And this is truly one you can wait till it comes out on streaming. It's not worth going and paying, especially if you're taking a bunch of family members or you got children, because the movies aren't cheap anymore. But this one I would wait for. If you haven't seen Toy Story 5, go see Toy Story 5. If you haven't seen any of the other movies that I've reviewed, like Obsession, Masters of the Universe, those are way better films. And Masters of the Universe is pretty much bombed, but it's a really good film. You should go see that. Supergirl, man, it makes me nervous for the future of this universe because apparently the director of this film is also set to direct the Wonder Woman film. And if that's the case, I'm not interested in seeing Wonder Woman. There is nothing that compelling in this film that's like, oh, can't wait to see Wonder Woman. I was more let down than anything. I hate to say this, I'm sorry. I hope they find a new director for Wonder Woman because this was not it. This was not it at all for me. So for my rating, it's not going to be great. I'll say it's about an average film. I can't say it's above average. It's almost borderline below average for me. So I was going to originally give this maybe like a 5.3. I'm going to go ahead and actually drop it a few more points because upon thinking and revisiting and reflecting on this film, it just rubs me the wrong way with certain things, especially like the character arc being wasted on Kara just because of her final action in the climax with Krem. I'm going to drop it down to a 5. I could go a little bit lower, honestly, but it's an enjoyable film for the most part. It is not a bad film. Again, I can't emphasize that enough. Not a bad film. Just underwhelming for me, a little bit disappointing because I thought Superman did really good. And again, I've never been a Superman, Supergirl fan. I'm not. So yeah, 5 out of 10. Do what you will. If you want to go see it because you're a huge fan, go. But if you're like big into the comics, might, get your blood boiling a little bit for some of the choices in this film. Thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode of Kota's Cove. If you like the content, leave a like, subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend, come on down to the Cove because the water is fine.